In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at how a customer or a consumer in a retail store can compare different size things to figure out which is the cheapest, which is the better buy for the consumer or customer. And so that's why it's entitled The Best Buy. Retail stores often list the unit price of items, and unit pricing tells the customer the cost of one unit or a single unit. Some common unit pricings are cost per kilogram or pound, depending on whether you're in a country that uses the metric system or the imperial system. Cost per liter, cost per gallon. When it says cost per liter, that means the cost of 1 liter of gasoline or whatever it might be, or 1 gallon. Now, if something's sold in smaller quantities and you're not usually buying kilograms of it, for example, you might see cost per 100 grams or cost per milliliter. And the reason they do 100 grams or 100 milliliters is because a gram is very small. A milliliter is very small. If you think of a can of pop in the country I live in, a can of pop has 355 milliliters in it. So it's only a small little can of pop that one person drinks. So you wouldn't talk about, for the most part, cost per milliliter, because a milliliter is very small. Okay, it's not very much at all. A teaspoon is 5 milliliters. Okay, so that's a pretty small unit. Some other ones you might see are cost per gram or cost per milliliter, and those would have to actually be very small things, quantities you would buy to see cost per gram or milliliter. You could also see cost per package, and the problem with comparing packages of different sizes is you really kind of need to know how much is in them to be able to compare them. And you might see cost per ounce if you're in a country that deals with the imperial system. So these kind of go in frequency. You'll see these for larger items, these for smaller ones. You won't see these ones too much, but you could. So example number one, first of 3 examples, I believe it is. A hardware store sells a package of 4 Duracell batteries for $8.99, or you can get a larger package of 15 for $18.99. Which is the better deal? So in order to calculate the better deal, we'll find the cost per battery to compare. So if you take the 4-pack, now when I say cost per battery, the word per means we divide. So cost per battery means you take the cost and divide it by the number of batteries. Some people get the way you divide mixed up. Okay, I'm going to do the $8.99 divided by 4. So that's actually, now this is money, so that 7 would make the 4 round up to a 5, so it would be $2.25. So it's $2.25 per battery. See, if you divided it by, instead, 4 by $8.99, okay, so what that would actually mean is it's the number of batteries you get for $1, because this is the number of batteries, that's the cost. So you get 0.44 batteries per dollar, and it's not something, although you could do that, it's not as easy to work with as if you're actually calculating the cost of a single battery. We don't want really to know the number of batteries per dollar. Okay, we want to know the number of dollars for a battery. So the second one here, the larger package, is $18.99, and there's 15 of them. And so we'll divide that. So I'll do this one too. $18.99 divided by 15 batteries. So again, it's money. We want to round to 2 decimal places. This 6 would make that 6 round up to a 7. That's why it's $1.27. And so we can see that the larger pack is almost $1 more per battery. Very close. So the package of 15 for $18.99 is certainly the better deal. Now, with the commonness of cell phones these days, a lot of people go into stores and actually have a calculator with them, so they can do these calculations. But if you didn't, and I'm going to demonstrate with this with the calculator. So I might say, well, okay, there's 4 in that pack for $8.99, and this is 15 for $18.99. And a way you could compare this without having the calculator, you say, well, if I double this cost, 9, it's about 9, okay, doubled, multiplied by 2 is $18. So if I bought 2 of them, I would get 8 batteries for about $18. But you see, this is a lot more than 8 batteries for $18.99. In fact, you see, this package is almost 4 times the size of that one. 4 times 4 would be 16, but it's only about double the cost. So that's another way you could rationalize that this one's cheaper. But a lot of people certainly would have a calculator with them these days to be able to do that kind of comparison. In the second example, a retail store sells a paper towel in two different package sizes. One has 12 rolls for $18.99, and the problem with comparing packages of paper towels or toilet paper is there's often larger and smaller size rolls. There's like single rolls and double rolls, and the number of sheets for a roll is different from one make of paper towels or toilet paper to a different one. So that's why I list the number of sheets per roll. So here's 12 sheets for 12 rolls, so for $18.99, and there's 95 sheets in each of those rolls. And the second package has only 12 rolls for $7.99, but there's only 80 sheets on each one of those. So you see, this one's got 15 more per roll. So 15 out of 80, actually, if you look at you might not think that's a lot, but 15 divided by 80 is 0.1875. So this is that one's almost 20%, got 20% more than this one. Almost, not quite, but close to about 19% more. So which is a better buy? So we're going to calculate the cost per sheet, not per roll, because the rolls aren't both in the same size. And I'm going to talk about a slightly different way to do this after we go through the example here, which is just a little different way to do it. So if you take the first one, there's 12 rolls and each one has 95 sheets. So let's bring the calculator over here again. So I would multiply 12 by 95. And so this first package would have 1,140 sheets in it. So to find the cost per sheet, we would take the $18.99 and divide it by the 1,140 sheets, because it's the cost per sheet, so the cost divided by the number of sheets. So if we take $18.99, then, and this is a very small number, so because, and we were talking about the cost of 1,140 sheets, and it's only not even $20. So 0.166, and I did write a few dozen places out here, so several. So that's the cost per sheet. So it's about, if you want it in cents, you see that's 1 cent there. So it's about 1.66 or 1.7 cents per sheet. Now the 6 roll pack, the smaller one, there's 80 sheets in each of the rolls. So the number of sheets would be 6 times 80, which works out to 480. And so we want the cost per sheet for this second smaller pack. So we would take the $7.99 cost and divide it by 480. And if we do that, $7.99 divided by 480, we get this number here. Now, if you compare those two numbers, they are very, very close. To the nearest cent or even tenth of a cent, then they're, well, to the nearest tenth of a cent, they're off by a tenth. Because, you see, this would be the tenth of a cent here, because that 5 would make that round to a 6. This 4 would keep the 6 a 6. So there's not much different in the cost per sheet. So the 6 roll pack, this one is very slightly cheaper, but not much. Okay, we're talking about a very, very small difference between the two of them. Now, because the cost here per sheet is so small, a slightly different way someone might do this is they might find the cost of 100 sheets. Remember in the previous page I talked about the cost per 100 milliliters, the cost per 100 grams. So you see, I would go $18.99 divided by, you see, that's 1,140 is 11.4 hundredths. So it's about 1.67 cents for 100 sheets. And the second one would be $7.99 divided by, see, 480 is 4.8 hundredths. So again, $1.67 compared to $1.66. So again, this one's slightly cheaper. So that's how you would calculate the cost for 100 sheets. And on to the last example. In this third example, a store sells potato chips in 250-gram bags and 700-gram bags. The 250-gram bags are on sale for $1.99, but the larger 700-gram bags are the regular price of $7.89. So the question is, which is the better buy? Different sizes. So well, I'm going to find the cost per 100 grams. Okay, we could find the cost per gram, but again, it's going to be very small, kind of like the cost per sheet on the last page was very small. So for the 250-gram bag, we would take the $1.99 and divide it by, and if we want to divide it by the number of hundreds. And remember, to calculate the number of hundreds, if you take that 250 and divide it by 100, it's 2.5. So what you're really doing, remember the decimals here, you're actually moving it 2 places. That's where another way to get it's 2.5 hundredths. So if I divide $1.99, whoops, 99 divided by 2.5, so it's about, well, it would round to 80 cents per 100 grams. The larger bag, we would divide the cost of $7.99 by, now 700 would be 700, so we divide it by 7. So it's $1.13 per 100 grams. So you can certainly see that the sale one is cheaper. So the 250-gram bags are a better deal. Now, again, like I talked about in the first page, another way to compare this is you could say, well, 250. If I were to buy 3 of those, and you'd have to do this part in your head, I suppose, but 250 times 3. So if I buy 3 of those, actually 750 grams. So 3 of those would be just a little bit more than this. But you see, if I took this and bought 3 of them, see, that's about $2. So 2 times 3 would be 6, and that $6 is quite a bit less than the $7.89. So that's a way to compare them in the store. If you didn't have a calculator, to say, well, how many of these do I need to make that? I need 3. So 3 about $2 would be $6. So it's certainly cheaper than the $7.89. So that's a way you can compare it without using a calculator. And that's the end of the tutorial.